Call the meeting to order. The County Council Economic Development Planning Committee meeting will begin at 3 o'clock. Please take the roll.
Calling the roll, Mr. Schron.
Here.
Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is absent at the moment. Ms. Baker. Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon is absent at the moment. We have a quorum. Also like the record to reflect that council members Brady, Miller, and Gallagher are also in attendance.
Thank you. And for the benefit of individuals that maybe this is your first time here in this room, welcome. We are thankful that there's a great body of public participation in today's activities. There are a couple items on the agenda that we'll be discussing. We do ask that there's an opportunity for public comment, and anyone is welcome to come up and take the microphone, assuming they've signed in, register that their name, and they will have 3 minutes to put their thoughts and information on the record. In addition to that, there will be some presentations regarding the pieces of legislation that come forward. So, is there anyone, Madam Clerk, that's signed in for public comment today?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have several people. First up is David Gilbert.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you all for. I just had a few things.
Is it a little button pushed? A little green button?
Thank you.
There you go.
I'm the head of two civic organizations, Destination Cleveland and Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. Had nothing to do with this deal at all, but just as a very interested observer, and just a few comments that I wanted to bring up. One, just an enormous thank you. I'll start and end with that to the county, to the city, to Team NEO, to Jobs Ohio, to so many people who really stepped up to make this happen. Our organizations, both the organizations I'm involved in, really two important things we do. We attract people to Cleveland, and we help change and manage the perception of Cleveland nationally, regionally, and locally. And having Sherwin-Williams stay, we could talk about the jobs that will stay here, the jobs that will grow here. But also, I think we would need to think of the downside of years, and quite frankly, I would say a decade or more of progress in Cleveland's own self-image, in Cleveland's, how our community feels about itself moving forward. And that is critical, and we've done research on it, how important that is for our community to move forward. We do deals all the time. While not the same as Sherwin-Williams, we are competing against other cities every day, every week, every month, for attracting, whether it's the NFL draft, meetings, conventions, other things. We live in an incredibly competitive marketplace. And I am, again, thankful to the people who put in this work, because if we didn't step up as a community the way we did, you cannot expect Sherwin-Williams or anybody else to stay, because we sometimes I think we believe as a community that we are doing certain things and we forget that other people are doing the same things, if not more. And so this was a competition. We may have had we're lucky that they started here, that they have deep roots here, but that never would guarantee that a Sherwin-Williams or anything that we do, that they would end up being here. And I think it just for every, I would just implore everyone to understand, people may look and think no deal is perfect, but if we did not do this as a community and all these different organizations stepping up arm in arm to do what we did, I believe Sherwin-Williams, no inside knowledge at all, but I've seen it from other things that we go after, they'd be going somewhere else, because other people are trying to eat our lunch just as we're trying to eat theirs on a daily basis. So again, I just want to thank the county and all the other partners for their efforts, for everything we try to do, because this will make a huge difference. So thank you.
Thank you.
Terrence Joyce.
Would you please say your name on the record? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Terrence P. Joyce, I'm business manager of Building Labor's Local 310. I also serve as president of the Cleveland Building Trades that represents over 15,000 tradespeople across the county. I'm just here, to thank you and to urge you to stay on this path, because, in a 30-year career of any tradespeople here, and we could ask any of the unions in the back of the room there, an average worker will be on over 100 different sites with over 40, 50 different companies. And without a true public-private vision in the county and the region and the city, jobs like these just don't come out of the ground. So we need the foresight that you guys have given us here. We need a company like Sherwin-Williams that's proud of their hometown and decides to stay here. But we need a lot of oars in the water, and we need them all pulling in the same direction. So for that young apprentice that comes in today, tomorrow, or yesterday, and I think you've heard from myself and Dave Wondolowski about the wonderful outreach we're both doing within the Cleveland School District, within Tri-C community, to make sure that we're bringing the men and women of this region to an owner like Sherwin-Williams, so that construction site can truly develop or truly reflect us as a community. But those decisions are made in rooms like these and in rooms like the boardroom of Sherwin-Williams. So we're just here to say, keep those oars in the water. We're anxious to get in the boat. We're anxious to pull in the same direction, and proud to move this city and this county even further down the road. So my appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you. And if we could let the record reflect, Ms. Brown and yes, Ms. Simon are both in attendance. Thank you.
Mr. Terry Eddy? Or Ms. Terry Eddy, I'm sorry.
Terry Eddy from Cleveland. Hello, everybody. My name is Terry Eddy. I am a local one janitor hired by ABM, and I cleaned Sherwin for 16 years. I was one of the janitors was displaced by Sherwin. I was one of the lucky ones who was able to find a different job with the help of my union. But Sherwin should have been more transparent about their decision, open to workers with us. Sherwin choose to be selfish while they receive millions of dollars in taxpayer money. They left us out in the cold. After years of dedication serving, we had to find ways to take care of ourselves and provide for our families. Cleaner Sherwin allowed me to take care of my 32-year-old daughter who suffered from a mental disability. I feared that without my income, I would have struggled to support my family and find a new job. We asked Sherwin to consider the workers' families of our community and not just profit. Since Sherwin got millions of dollars in taxpayer money, they should be open to work with a union contract that support good jobs. Sherwin had let us down as the county councilor and to not let us down. We are proud janitors, and we will not give up until we are heard. Our union, along with many community leaders, stand by us, and together we will once again become one, Cleveland and city that works for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eddy.
Brian Yarborough?
Good evening.
Hey.
Okay, my name is Brian Yarborough. I've been with. Okay, got you. Sorry about that. I apologize. I've been with the union going on 6 years. I work at the Fifth Third building. Been with them for a year. I was at the Ernest & Young for 5 years. I'm just standing here for my brothers and sisters who are janitors like me for Sherwin-Williams, because what Sherwin-Williams is doing is wrong. It's wrong. How could they provide for their family? How could they pay their car note, insurance, pay rent, pay their mortgage? How could they send kids to their daycare and proper education? How could they get proper education if they're trying to sweep that underneath from them? Sherwin-Williams is getting millions and millions of dollars, okay? They get millions and millions of dollars all janitors want, we want our raise of 15. So why not just all work together, be one Cleveland, and be together? That way, we all win. You go home with a smile on your face. I can go home with a smile on my face when I can provide for my family and for myself, just like you provide for yourself and your family. So I just want to let y'all know that I hope Sherwin-Williams do the right thing. I'm confident they do the right thing if they open their eyes wider and look on for both sides. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yarborough.
Leonard Thomas.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leonard Thomas. I'm a janitor at the U.S. Bank building where I've worked for over 15 years. And I'm here to support my union brothers and sisters displaced from Sherwin-Williams. I'm here today to raise our concern as responsible taxpayers about the millions of dollars Sherwin-Williams has received through our taxes, everybody's taxes. Absolutely no one should be displaced or out in the streets. No working person should struggle to feed their family. Janitors who cleaned Sherwin-Williams were an essential part of the building's operation, and their efforts were not appreciated. Politicians and companies like Sherwin-Williams have the power and resources to make things right. We urge you to make sure the millions given as a subsidy to Sherwin-Williams are used in the communities that need it most. Now just take a minute and look at the hard work the janitors do every day. Local janitors came to work every day. Many did that for decades only to be displaced. And additionally, as downtown janitors, we know that we have to pass background checks in order to work in these buildings. This is especially true at Sherwin-Williams. Meanwhile, the CEO of the new cleaning company, A Quality Facility Services, has multiple felony convictions for drug trafficking. If he were a janitor, he wouldn't even be able to set foot in the building or on the grounds. The city council has the power to do what's right, especially since millions of public dollars have been given to Sherwin-Williams. We urge you to consider good union jobs for janitors in our communities to ensure they thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Yanela Sims.
Good afternoon. My name is Janella Sims, and I'm the State Director for SEIU Local 1 in Cleveland. And I am here also to voice my concerns, as I have voiced my concerns over and over again to county council, to city council, and to any decision-making party who would listen. I am here again to speak on the same matter in reference to Sherwin-Williams. Now, as we sit in this room, we've got folks singing praises to Sherwin-Williams and praises to county council for doing what county council needed to do to encourage Sherwin-Williams to stay in the city. And that's great. I understand that Sherwin-Williams is a large operation. It's a multi-million-dollar corporation, and they do, employ a lot of people. However, once you take a look around and pay attention to the income inequality that's happening here, on one hand, we've got building trades who Sherwin-Williams has publicly stated that they will have working under living wage agreements. However, the people that look like me, that look like this group of folks that's sitting right here in these first two rows, that are janitors who've dedicated their time and their life to cleaning this property, are being swept under the rug. And I am here to ask our elected officials to have the courage to not only work toward keeping Sherwin-Williams here, as you've already done, as we're here today to talk about giving Sherwin-Williams millions of dollars. I'm also here to ask our elected officials to have the courage to talk to Sherwin-Williams and to ensure that everybody can benefit from this agreement, not just building trades, not just the people who work for Sherwin-Williams, not just the city and the county, and not just the people who come in from other places to come to work in downtown Cleveland. What I am here to do is to ask our elected officials to have the courage to say, Sherwin-Williams, we want one Cleveland. We want one Cleveland that works for all of its residents and citizens and community, not just a few. Because what we're doing now is we're displacing a lot of people, and we're sending a message that although we want to bring the best and the brightest to Cleveland, we are also in the same process displacing people who have dedicated their lives and their time and have spent most of their days here in Cleveland. Let's not just pay attention to one group of our community. Let's not just, give one group of people what they want. Let's make sure that all of the residents and citizens of Cleveland get a fair deal with this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas Jubeck.
Thank you, County Council. My name is Tom Jubeck, and I represent Pipe Fitters Local 120 in Cleveland, Ohio. We have 1,200 active members, and I just want to thank County Council for giving us this opportunity to talk on behalf of this issue. We fully support Sherwin-Williams, and we thank them for making their decision to stay in Cleveland and out in Brecksville at their Research and Development Center. We represent 1,200 members, and I'm not here to ask County Council to bid for me to get my jobs for my members. We're in a competitive world. We compete every day for those bids to build those buildings. Like I said, I'm not here to ask you to help us with that. I'm asking you to make sure that Sherwin-Williams stays in Cuyahoga County, and I truly believe they will. And then we'll go do our own work. We'll do our competitive bidding. You know why we're going to get that project? Because my members are the highest skilled in the HVAC and fire suppression. My members are the most highly skilled. We'll bring those jobs in on time, and they'll be a good product for them. So we're here. I'm telling you, you need to keep them here. I have a daughter and her fiance that own a business in downtown Cleveland. This would be good for the entire community in downtown. It's going to spur more growth, and we're not guaranteed any of those jobs either. But we'll go make our own way. We'll get those jobs on our merits of our members and bringing these jobs in and our good union contractors. So I just wanted to thank you again. Appreciate everything you're doing. Keep on the straight path, and we'll get this project done. And I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jubeck.
Bill Kohler.
Good afternoon, Bill Kaler with Team NEO. Chairman Schron and members of the Economic Development Committee, thanks for the opportunity to speak today. I think we can all agree that this is a critically important project for the city of Cleveland, for Cuyahoga County, and for Northeast Ohio more broadly. Our economy is blessed with many large global companies, and Sherwin-Williams has been one of them for a very, very long time. It is part of an economy that is $238 billion in total, with robust integrated supply chains across 18 counties, where large companies like Sherwin play a very strong leadership role in supporting activities of smaller companies whose success we need in order for us to thrive. And Sherwin has done it since 1866. Obviously, a very long legacy, 154 years, and they are committing to continue that legacy here in Cuyahoga County as we move forward. I think you know, as you've seen the material, that today Sherwin employs over 3,500 people in Cuyahoga County, and the company has committed to a minimum of 400 new jobs here in Cuyahoga County as part of their growth and consolidation of the new R&D facility in Brecksville. An independent third party is evaluating the economic impact of the project for Cuyahoga County, and that work is not yet complete. It is a multi-site project with specific capital investment calculations. They're being finalized, but we are very confident that the economic impact here is very significant. Preliminary estimates show that as a result of the Economic Development Retention Expansion Project, there will be more than 5,300 jobs, that's direct, indirect, and induced in the county. More than 5,300 jobs are forecasted to generate a payroll in excess of $600 million each year, and a value-added impact of over $750 million each year. And if you take that over a 20-year period, say 2025 to 2045, the total state and local tax revenues are estimated to be close to $450 million in the county alone. So real impact here, and we think that is admittedly the work is being completed still, but an indication that there's real impact. Given the size of Sherwin-Williams' existing presence here in Cuyahoga County and its leadership position in the community, it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that we all approach the process with great care. And I hope you will see in the work that we have done, great focus from our partners in the economic development community, Jobs Ohio, the governor, lieutenant governor, and all the parties who have been involved in getting us to where we are today. We hope you'll support the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaler. And let the record reflect Ms. Stevens is here.
Ms. Lou?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Sherwin-Williams definitely is a big company, nationwide known. We really appreciate their being in our region for a long time. However, for every developmental project, we have to measure cost and effect, this and that. So to date, same situation happened again. In order to help Sherwin-Williams to grow, to create more jobs for the regions, we still have to sacrifice some other people's jobs. The jobs they will create may not be fulfilled by all the people in this region completely, in addition to the few people who are being sacrificed. However, for these people working very hard for a long time as Sherwin-Williams employees, as a union workers, this is the same situation RTA also had. Actually, one of the board members, Mr. Joyce, just spoke here. So we all know this may be something good, but the side effects can be as huge. Just like that lady there saying, the jobs is going to help lots of people. But would these janitors be helped? Just because they changed all the rules and regulation, they don't tell people in advance. These people will have no way to secure their job, their next meal, their next month's rent, their health insurance, the stuff for their kids going to school next week, next month, or next year. Should we want to do these things again and again to put more people into homelessness? Remember, we still don't have functional shelters. Our shelter system is rejecting homeless people. So do we want to create more homeless people in the process of growing jobs for the people who already have jobs? Or people coming from outside of this region, they left other jobs to come here for a job they think better. Please, RTA is a county agency, so you will be able to help out to make sure things are going smoothly. Sherwin-Williams is a private company, but please, let them know they need to reconsider lots of details because people should not be sacrificed, especially the people already working for them for a long time. This is not a justice. Plus, general public still think Sherwin-Williams paint contains lead. We have a serious lead poisoning problem here. Is that really good for public image? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liu.
Joe Marinucci.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of County Council. My name is Joe Marinucci. I'm President and CEO of Downtown Cleveland Alliance. The Alliance is an organization, a nonprofit that represents stakeholders, businesses, property owners in downtown Cleveland. And I'm pleased to be here today to support the Sherwin-Williams announcement that it is finalizing plans to build a new global headquarters at downtown Cleveland and a new R&D center in Brecksville. I am honored that the company has shown its confidence in this community, in this city, in this region, in this county, to make this investment in our community. As we all know, Sherwin-Williams is an iconic brand recognized across the country and the world. She is a company that shares a 154-year history in Cleveland. If you go back to the history of Sherwin-Williams, you know it began at the mouth of the Cuyahoga River and grew from there to be one of the region's largest employers. From downtown's perspective, the 1 million square feet of the new headquarters facility will be catalytic, as I think all of us would appreciate. It'll retain thousands of jobs with the opportunity to add additional jobs in the near term. It will redevelop long underutilized land in the historic warehouse district and in the core of downtown. And I hearken back to when I came back to Cleveland after spending a number of years outside of the city in 1990. The last 30 years, those have been surface parking lots, and we've struggled with ways to animate and create the critical mass necessary in that location. And again, Sherwin-Williams is bringing that critical mass to us. We have the opportunity to further leverage the investments that we as a community made in Public Square, close to over $50 million in that public space, and again, will be the front door of this company. And obviously, the thousands of construction jobs during the construction period will further animate downtown. And I would also share with you again, from our perspective, that Sherwin-Williams will accelerate the momentum that we've seen in downtown Cleveland. On a short-term basis, all of those construction workers are going to be eating in our restaurants and parking in our parking facilities as they come to work every day. Their permanent employees, obviously, are going to live in downtown Cleveland. They're going to dine in our restaurants. Bill mentioned the business relationships they have in the region. Those business relationships are going to fill our hotel rooms in terms of creating additional demand for that. And obviously, we greatly appreciate the fact that this company has made a decision to be here. And I would share with you, I had an opportunity to be at the International Economic Development Leadership Conference in Tampa over the last weekend. IEDC is the largest practitioner organization in the country, and I can assure you that the economic development community was abuzz about Sherwin-Williams' decision to remain in Cleveland. And they knew that we were in competition with many cities across the country. And again, reflects, I think, our community coming together under your leadership and the leadership of other partners in this process. So we look forward to working with Cuyahoga County, the company, to bring these plans to fruition, and we look forward to, again, a long-term investment on the part of the company. Thank you.
Marinucci.
And the last speaker we have is Mayor Brad Sellers.
Good afternoon to this council, to this committee. I would like to, again, I was before you a couple of weeks ago. I want to, again, stress City of Warrensville Heights support for Sherwin-Williams remaining in this community, Northeast Ohio, making sure that it continues to develop here for another 100 years. But I also want to come to this committee again to make sure that you know the impact of Sherwin-Williams' departure to the City of Warrensville Heights. There is a almost 400 person employed in the City of Warrensville Heights. It is about 15% of our budget, just shy of $2 million. So I look forward to working with this council, working with the state of Ohio, working with Team NEO, working with Sherwin-Williams on figuring out the next phase for the property at Warrensville Heights that Sherwin-Williams will leave behind its departure in the next 3 to 4 years. I want to make sure that everyone knows how impactful that departure is to the City of Warrensville Heights. It is a significant sum. You can imagine 50% of your budget being cut in one swoop. I want to make sure that you also know that as we look forward to the future, we feel like this property can be redeveloped in some fashion to bring economic growth and keep that region of Northeast Ohio still vibrant. It's important. It's important to me. It's important to the people I represent. It's important enough that I will be here to work with whoever wants to work with us to make sure that this position gets repositioned. I want to thank CEO John Marakis for extending the olive branch to me and to the city to talk about going forward in the future as they further develop their plans, understanding that the positioning or the repositioning of that property is important to Warrensville Heights, Northeast Ohio. I want to make sure that I acknowledge that publicly, but also I want to make sure that everyone is aware that I don't think we're in a position to wait 3 to 4 or 5 years to figure out what the plan has to be. I figure that we need to start thinking about that now. So that's my perspective. Like I said, I continue to encourage each one here to do a little more homework to figure out exactly what positioning it needs to be. But from everyone I talked to in the economic development field, there's a tremendous opportunity that can be had on the what's soon to be the former Sherman-Williams site, the former BP and Ohio site in Warrensville. It's, if you don't know, it's almost 80 acres in totality, and we want to make sure that that's positioned enough to give economic growth not only to Warrensville but this county as well. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor Sellers. And that was the last one?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The minutes of the December 12th meetings, everybody a chance to look at those? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the December 12th meeting?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All right. And opposed? The minutes are approved. Ordinarily, the chair at this point would have the prerogative to move things around because there's a large body of people interested in the second item on the agenda. However, because of the importance of the first item, and we have a great audience here to listen to it, it's about our veterans, I think that we'll take deference to the sequence of the way they're written on here, and let you all hear about some of the good things we're doing in regards to the veterans here in our county. So please read the item into the record.
Resolution number 2020-0040, determining the services and programs that shall be provided and funded from the Veteran Services Fund in 2018, authorizing payments to various providers in the total amount of $413,635 for said services and programs for the period ending 12/31/2020.
And is there someone here to speak in regards to this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Khalil Sarin, Cuyahoga County Council staff. As you all are aware, the Veteran Service Commission is budgeted funds every year that we are mandated to provide by state law. And at the end of the year, if there are funds left over from that budgeted money, the funds are then returned to the general fund at the county. In council's judgment, it was best that those monies then also are dedicated to service to veterans that reside in Cuyahoga County. And so you passed an ordinance that mandated that when those funds are returned, they are then immediately transferred from the general fund into the Veteran Services Fund. That Veteran Services Fund, we provide recommendations for services to veterans that in general are veterans that reside in the county, and services that are sort of not duplicative necessarily of the Veterans Service Commission's services. So this year, we've got around a little less than $415,000 returning that returned to the general fund, and that money was allocated. 20% of that money needs to go to higher education or workforce initiatives, and so we've provided in this list of recommendations for 20% of those funds to go to Cuyahoga Community College, Tri-C, for their veterans programs. They provide scholarships, generally less than around $1,000 for each scholarship. That $1,000 goes a long way for older veterans who are getting more education or coming back to education. And it helps with books, it helps with supplies and materials for veterans that maybe don't have access to a GI Bill or those other grants. And then the second piece of the workforce education initiative is the money, the $42,727 that goes towards employment for their career pathways services for job readiness training, job search and placement, and coaching and support. So, and then the rest of the funds, we've split up an equal amount going to either the Cuyahoga County Office of Homeless Services for their moving kits and for homeless veterans, and the County Court of Common Pleas Veterans Treatment Docket for their services to our veterans as well. And then last, we've got 3 organizations that have a great track record of working with veterans: Legal Aid, providing legal services to veterans; United Way 211, which is, I think, an integral component in the services that we provide veterans by creating that connection point. Sometimes veterans don't know what services are there for them, and sometimes they don't even call 211 with the expectation of receiving services specifically tailored to a veteran. But 211 asks if they've served in the military, and they get this information and then have dedicated staff who deal with veterans issues and deal with veteran services and can route that veteran who calls in for general help to specific help that meets their needs. And then lastly, Joseph's Home, which provides wraparound services for homeless vets, transitioning them to permanent housing for veterans who have medical issues that need to be addressed in a more caring and comprehensive way.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. We've read the record, read it into the record. Is there a motion for? So moved. It's been moved. The chair will second it. Are there any questions for Mr. Aaron in regards to anything being presented today? Any comments? Well, the chair has the microphone, so we will make a comment. For you in the audience, what makes this unique is there are 88 counties in the state of Ohio. There's only one county in the entire state of Ohio that takes their money from the Veteran Service Commission, and rather than rolling it into the general fund, said that every one of those pennies were meant for a veteran, and every one of those pennies will go to a veteran application. So we passed this early on as a county action by this county council. And so I want you to feel pride in the fact that the veteran is an important part of our society and our county. And so as a result, we thank you for the hard work that the county staff did to identify these candidates as far as these funds out here. $413,000 that could go into general fund. In other counties it does. Even though we've tried to suggest this is a good vehicle, we can be proud, I believe, of how we send a message out to our veterans that this money is not going back to the general fund, but going to specific individual activities for them. So with that, any other comments from anyone? Okay, all in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Congratulations on the hard work. Now, if we can read the next item into the record. Might be a little bit longer in the presentation, I have a feeling.
Resolution number 2020-0047, authorizing an economic development special large-scale leverage incentive grant in the amount not to exceed $14 million to the Sherwin-Williams Company for the benefit of the headquarters project to be located in the city of Cleveland, and for the research and development facility project to be located in the city of Brecksville.
And this is being moved by the county executive and other members. So is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this?
Good afternoon. Chairman Schron.
I think your button needs to be...
I should know that by now, right, Mr. Chairman?
It's okay.
Chairman Schron and members of the Economic Development Committee, on behalf of County Executive Armin Budish and his executive team, I am thrilled to present Cuyahoga County's incentive package that will help retain the Sherwin-Williams Company in Cuyahoga County. Our investment will facilitate the construction of its new iconic 1 million square foot global headquarters in downtown Cleveland and its 500,000 square foot research and development facility in the city of Brecksville. This will lead to the retention of 3,500 employees, as well as the creation of 400 new high-wage jobs, I should say, and the projected creation of 400 new high-wage jobs and an estimated 3,000 construction jobs. This was the best possible outcome for Cuyahoga County. The alternative would have been disastrous. For the past 6 months, we have engaged in a very complex and challenging negotiation with Sherwin-Williams representatives. This process was led by Jobs Ohio, and included our partners Team Neo, the cities of Cleveland and Brecksville, the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and the Downtown Cleveland Alliance. There are several unique aspects that made the negotiation challenging, including the need for confidentiality, a national location evaluation by the company, and a request to have our closing documents pre-negotiated and approved, which is atypical of our usual process. Sherwin-Williams was deliberate, diligent, and exhaustive in evaluating the pros and cons of their decision and the benefit of staying in their hometown versus other potential locales. While we were always confident that their selection of Cleveland would support their continued outstanding market performance, we also knew that we faced strong headwinds versus other markets, including inferior air service to key markets, the perception of our tax environment, and the ability to attract and retain talent as they embark on the next phase of their growth. Sherwin-Williams was clear that they wanted support from the local community, demonstrating the community's leadership and commitment to growth and vibrancy that would enhance and reflect the presence of a world-class company. Consistent with our growing programmatic emphasis on placemaking investments, the Lumen and Beacon projects are recent examples. We now have 2 non-performing properties that will benefit from catalytic new investment: 3 vacant parking lots west of Public Square in downtown Cleveland, and an 80-acre vacant VA site in Brecksville. In addition, the eventual redevelopment of Sherwin-Williams' former headquarters and its waterfront research center will keep these properties on the tax rolls at a higher value. We are also committed to working with Mayor Sellers and his team on the eventual disposition of the vacated Warrensville site. The impact of construction, supply chain, and associated service jobs that this investment will bring to and retain in our community is extraordinary. Other benefits include, last but not least, the national brand impact that keeping Sherwin-Williams represent, as you heard Mr. Marinucci refer to, and most importantly, local civic pride. Our $14 million grant to retain the company can be used toward construction costs of either facility, including infrastructure. Our funds will be provided on a reimbursed basis. Our grant was designed to be surgical and leveraged and to complement the investment of our public sector partners, Jobs Ohio, and the cities of Cleveland and Brecksville. While our investment is the smallest of all the partners, it was critical to reflect the county's partnership and commitment to Sherwin-Williams' footprint in the county. To support our investment toward this $600 million project, we took a thoughtful and considerate approach to developing our incentive recommendation for the executive's approval. We developed multiple scenarios and finally underwrote the core of our investment based on a projected potential sales tax loss of Sherwin-Williams' existing employees in a worst-case scenario. This analysis shows a positive payback to the county over a 10-year period. The cost per job retained is just under $4,000. This financial analysis was enhanced by the qualitative judgment that it was imperative to support a 150-year-old homegrown manufacturing company focused on innovation, which is a principal focus of our 5-year economic development strategy. We intend to leverage Sherwin-Williams' commitment to innovation and connect it to the broader regional innovation ecosystem, a current focus of the work supported by McKinsey Consulting. The agreement includes several notable terms beneficial to Cuyahoga County: a commitment of the creation of 400 new jobs in the county. The project will adhere to the state prevailing wage for all construction jobs for both projects, a clawback provision with the retention of baseline jobs for the construction period plus 5 years, which could be as long as 10 years, depending on the construction horizon. This is superior to our typical 3-year requirement of other projects that you've considered. The 3 sources of Cuyahoga County's $14 million investment include $5 million out of the county's Economic Development Fund within my department, $2 million from the Community Development Fund, which is utilized by County Council, and $7 million from county general fund reserves. In closing, this has been one of the most complex, challenging, and impactful projects that I have been part of in my 20-year economic development and real estate career. I would add it has been the most satisfying because of the collaboration and teamwork that was exhibited to achieve this outstanding result. I would like to recognize the work of my team, Paul Herdick, Michael May, and Regina Johnson in particular, who is our Urban Fellow, for their work on this project, as well as the collaboration with county leadership, including Executive Budish, Chief of Staff Mason, Council President Brady, Chairman Schron, council staff, and this committee for your expedited consideration and continued partnership with our department. Additionally, I'd like to thank the communications and legal team of the county, the Public Works Department, as well as our external partners, Team NEO, Jobs Ohio, the City of Cleveland, and Brecksville. Our special thanks also go to CEO John Marikis and his team for the care and deliberation they made in exploring their options and selecting their hometown. Not a preordained outcome by any stretch, but I believe the right choice. Finally, I recently came across a quote by T.S. Eliot that I believe is very appropriate. The quote says, "We shall not cease from exploration, and at the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know that place for the first time." My team and I look forward to working with the Sherwin-Williams Company to advance these massive projects and support their continued growth and dominance in the paint and coating industries, and would certainly like your full consideration and potential approval of our requests. At this time, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to invite Julie Young, who is the Senior VP for Global Communications for the company, to come up and make a statement. Paul,
Mr. Carter, would you prefer that to go into that or initially, or would you want to answer the financial package questions to the county that sometimes come up, or do you rather hand it all at one time?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, let's do the full presentation, just handle all the questions at once. That way we're not coming up and down, and thank you very much. Ready? Okay.
It's a city with grit, where hearts beat strong. It's a city of believers, where you rise, not fall. It's a city with strength and resilience, where we are all for one and one for all. It's where a small enterprise founded on the banks of the Cuyahoga River revolutionized the paint industry and changed the course of Cleveland's history forever. Today, we are a global innovator, known for our high-performance coatings and trademark customer service. From the plants where our products are manufactured to the point of purchase, our 60,000 employees are guided by the needs of our customers and the desire to make a positive impact on the world around us. At the core of it all is integrity. It's in everything we do. And sharing the same DNA is what binds Sherwin-Williams and Cleveland. The belief of sensibility and honor, the tradition of loyalty, the perseverance to overcome every obstacle with renewed spirit. Rooted in Northeast Ohio, the Sherwin-Williams Company belongs in Northeast Ohio. With plans for a new global headquarters and research facility that will further ignite creativity and industry-leading innovation, the region's outlook is bright. Sherwin-Williams and its hometown are a winning team, pulling together for a vibrant future. Because what is worth doing is worth doing well. And it starts here in Cleveland, where it all began.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak today. I'm Julie Young, Vice President of Global Corporate Communications at Sherwin-Williams. It's truly an honor to be here today to discuss Sherwin-Williams' plans for investing in Cuyahoga County. We are thrilled to build our future here in the place where we began 154 years ago. Our planned minimum investment of $600 million in 2 facilities in Cuyahoga County isn't just an investment in our company. It's an investment in the economic future of Cuyahoga County, Northeast Ohio, and the people who live and work here. First, I'd like to acknowledge the strong partnership and the outstanding collaboration we have experienced with Cuyahoga County and so many others on this important project. This project has been an outstanding example of an effective public-private partnership, and we'd also like to thank the state of Ohio, Jobs Ohio, Cleveland Cuyahoga County Port Authority, the City of Cleveland, and the City of Brecksville. We would also like to acknowledge the support of Team NEO, the Greater Cleveland Partnership, and Downtown Cleveland Alliance. We are thankful for the strong leadership and assistance of all of these organizations. On behalf of everyone at Sherwin-Williams, I offer sincere thanks to County Executive Armin Budish, County Council President Dan Brady, Chief Economic Development and Business Officer Ted Carter, and the entire team here at Cuyahoga County. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to this project and for being strong advocates of the region. Sherwin-Williams currently operates out of a 90-year-old headquarters building that, while serving us well for decades, is no longer able to meet the needs of our 21st century growing workforce. Additionally, the configuration of our current R&D facilities is less than optimal, potentially limiting our ability to innovate and grow in the future. Last year, we launched a national search to find the right location for both a new global headquarters and a new R&D facility. We searched for locations that had the space we will need to continue growing and will enable us to build a new work environment for our employees that ignites creativity, encourages collaboration, and inspires industry-leading innovation. This national search was thorough and deliberate. It generated tremendous interest in Sherwin-Williams from potential public and private partners throughout the country. And the company visited several of these prospective sites as part of the search process. After working very closely with numerous partners here in Northeast Ohio, including Cuyahoga County, it was clear that the best opportunity for Sherwin-Williams to continue to grow and meet the needs of our customers and to retain and attract top talent was to stay here, with a global headquarters building in downtown Cleveland and an R&D facility in Brecksville. The plan to stay in Northeast Ohio builds upon the 154-year legacy of Sherwin-Williams as one of the region's top employers and drivers of economic activity. This major planned investment in Northeast Ohio reflects our confidence in the continued strength of the region and its people. The combined business development package offered by Cuyahoga County and other public and private partners will help retain 3,500 current jobs and support our plans to create at least 400 new jobs over time. This will be a multi-year project. At the earliest, we expect to start enabling work, such as moving utilities and demolition, in the summer of this year. We anticipate an official groundbreaking in the spring of 2021. The transition to new facilities is not expected to occur until at least 2023. I'd like to acknowledge that as part of this project, employees currently working at our Warrensville Heights location will move to one of the 2 new facilities after they are built. Early in the site selection process, we considered the existing Warrensville Heights site. However, we determined that it was not the optimal location to support both our current and future growth needs for various reasons, including the constraints of the natural topography of the land. We also considered whether there might be other sites in Warrensville Heights, and were unable to find any that were large enough to meet our needs. We have enjoyed a good relationship with Warrensville Heights and Mayor Brad Sellers over the years. As we are so early in the process, no decisions have been made on the disposition of the Warrensville Heights building. We will continue to stay in close contact and work with Mayor Sellers, with other public and private partners, and the community to identify future options for that site. We anticipate that the planned R&D center in Brecksville will be a catalyst for additional office, residential, hospitality, and retail development, generating incremental tax revenues for the city and the schools. In Cleveland, when completed and occupied, the new global headquarters building is expected to generate more than $3 million a year in additional revenue for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. Helping to provide these types of benefits for the community is extremely important to us as a company. Corporate responsibility has long been embedded in our values and our business. We have a culture built on trust, respect, execution, and inclusion. We have a proud track record, and consistent with our continuous improvement culture, we always seek to be better. We demonstrate this commitment by following a set of guiding principles regarding the safe use of chemicals in our formulations and our manufacturing processes, recognizing and addressing the potential impacts of our products throughout their life cycle, and developing new sustainable products. We have a long-standing tradition of giving back to the community through the Sherwin-Williams Foundation and extensive employee volunteerism. Over the past 10 years, the foundation, the company, and our employees have given more than $20 million to support local communities in Northeast Ohio. In addition, Sherwin-Williams employees serve on more than 100 nonprofit boards in the region. Our nationally recognized homework program provides professional painter training for low-income housing residents, job placement assistance, and EPA renovate, repair, and painting certification instruction. And we strive to ensure a diverse, positive workplace for our employees. Forbes has recently named us among America's best employers for diversity, for women, and for new graduates. We also plan to work with our public and private partners, including local colleges and universities, on long-term talent attraction strategies and programs to attain the very best candidates for all levels within our company. This is an exciting time for our employees, our company, and our community. I want to thank you for your time today and for your thoughtful consideration of the economic development proposal before you to support Sherwin-Williams' ongoing investment in Cuyahoga County. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carter, is there anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay. At this point then, because we have had two speakers speaking on behalf of this, the floor is now open for questions for Mr. Carter on the financial package, if anyone wishes to ask questions specifically directed to that. And then Ms. Young for questions in regards to Sherwin-Williams and questions in regards to the business proposal. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes. Council President.
Mr. Carter, it's our understanding that there is a significant contribution to this project, as one would expect, from the city of Cleveland and by the state of Ohio. In fact, a very significant contribution, particularly from the state. What I would like to be able to indicate is it not true that the county's contribution, while very significant, is the smaller of the three?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Are you in a position to tell us what the terms are with the city and the county in the state at this time, or not?
At this time, I'm not at liberty to do that, Council President, because of our agreement with those entities that each jurisdiction would present their own incentive package.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Carter. And Mr. Carter, at what point do you think that information would be available to us?
The city's Cleveland's package, I believe, will be public in the next several weeks. I'm not sure about the city of Brecksville, and Mr. Kaler might maybe he'll speak more intelligently about the state of Ohio's, but from my understanding, that will be sometime in March.
Very good. You would understand, and I'm sure everyone would understand, that the council, will expect to have that information in order to be able to make its deliberations in a way that is fully understood. So I just want to say this up front, that we want to respect those processes, but we also need to have some way to work with the city and the state to get the information that we need to the members of this council who will have to vote on this proposal. And so I don't want that to go unsaid. From the very beginning, this is something that we need to do. And we are also completely committed to working with Warrensville Heights to do everything we can to make sure that we take care of what's left behind there. And we also care about the social justice issues and economic justice issues that are involved in this project. Beyond that, we do want to thank Sherwin-Williams and everybody involved for this project, which is going to be one of the biggest, largest we've seen in a long time, and is absolutely so important to the viability of Greater Cleveland. And so we're thrilled that this proposal is in front of us, and I am fully supportive of it. But I want everyone to understand that these issues are issues that the council needs to understand completely in order to have its deliberations be complete.
Yes, Council President, you've been clear on that point, on those points. So my commitment to this body is, as soon as I'm able to disclose the content and structure of those packages, we will make sure this committee has the benefit of that.
Thank you.
Just following up on the Council President's comments in regards to that, it's been alluded to that the total project is $600 million.
Yes.
And our portion is $14 million that's being requested?
Yes.
So our portion will be less than 2.5% of the total? Is that what, if I'm doing the quick back of the envelope math?
I should have done this. Yes,
That's
that
okay.
sounds
I
right.
think that's my simple math says 10% of 60 is 5 of that is, and I just quickly got down to 2.5%, less than 2.5%. It's old third grade math on some of that stuff. So will to Council President's comments, other 3 packages that we're looking at, you indicated that your belief that all 3 of the other packages will be in excess of ours. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have a way of knowing what amount Sherwin-Williams will be presenting in regards to the $600 million?
Based on my conversations with the company's reps, they will be upfronting all of the costs and then being reimbursed by the public sector incentive packages as it relates to the parameters of each jurisdiction's program.
I'm just trying to get to when all is said and done, after you take
What their net is?
the four public sectors out.
Yeah, I don't know what that number would be at this time.
In excess of 50%?
Just repeat your question, Mr. Strawn.
In excess of 50% of the transaction?
Yes.
That's okay. That's why I wanted to make sure that was clearly being put on the record, that more than half of this at least is going to be coming from theirs, and I assume it's going to be considerably more than that when we get down to actually having the public information. Is there any way do you know the schedule of the other 3 entities as far as when, I know you said the city would be within the next couple of weeks. Do you have any expectation of the other 2?
City of Brecksville, I have no visibility to that. Let me ask Mr. Kaler, maybe he has more recent information with respect to the state's package.
Okay. Mr. Kaler, you have to take the microphone, sorry. You can't record you from back there.
Sorry, it is our understanding of the city of Brecksville.
Sorry, you got to put your name on the record.
Sorry, Bill Kaler.
Sorry.
It is our understanding that the city of Brecksville will be introducing their process, or beginning their process tonight.
Okay, so that will be a public record. So two of the 3 will at least be read into a public record. Ours today, theirs tonight. Okay?
That's our understanding.
And how about the state?
The state is, we're not sure yet, but 3 weeks or so, plus or minus, I think is about right.
Okay, and the city of Cleveland will have its first public reading. I mean, it'll follow the same.
We think it's in about next week.
Okay, so that will
It's-
be
it's
there.
all within a short timeframe.
Theirs will follow the same processes which our county does, which means it will be publicly read into a document, put on record, and then eventually get to a committee. But at least at that point in time, when it gets written into a resolution, it will be public at that point in time. So that will be next week, you anticipate?
That's our understanding for the
Okay,
city.
so the only one that's going to go beyond next week as far as public information would be the states.
That's our understanding at this time.
Okay, that will help address 3/4 of the information in regards to that. Okay, questions in regards to, yes, start with Simon? And who was first? I didn't look over.
So one of the presentations.
Excuse me, Ms.
I think you need to put your mic on too.
Yeah. One of the presentations talked about the Port Authority and Team NEO being participants.
Is your mic on?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
One of the presentations indicated that the Port Authority and Team NEO had roles. Could you explain to us what their roles were?
So I am Representative Team NEO. We were very involved side by side, the team from the county, the city of Brecksville as well, in helping negotiate with Sherwin-Williams as an entire team all along the way. We are the network partner here in Northeast Ohio for Jobs Ohio, so we work very closely with them and so that was the role that we played.
And the Port Authority?
Will is not here.
Are they going to do some?
The Port Authority was part of the project team, along the way.
So are they proposing to do some interim or mezzanine financing?
There was a discussion about an opportunity for them to help with financing, yes.
But you don't know that that's is or isn't?
It's not, how we go about that at this stage is not finalized.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's it for me.
Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for bringing this before us, all the partners. We appreciate this opportunity. But the question that I have is there was some discussion about later on some incentives or county involvement in the Cleveland Hop or the airport in Cleveland, and I wanted some clarification about what that meant.
Sure, Councilman Simon, through the chair. Both of those references were an error in drafting language, so we have resubmitted our agreement. Why that was an error, early in our discussions with the company, as I mentioned in my testimony, one of their evaluation points was air connectivity to their hubs that they need to move to around the world, frankly. And we indicated orally that the county would be supportive of trying to figure that out because it's an issue not just for Sherwin, but for all of our employers that have international travel. And so that was inaccurately reflected. So there is no commitment. That is, and I've talked to Chief Ripka, that is a city asset and will be helpful from an advocacy standpoint as is prudent. What was your first part of your question? I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. That was the first part of the question. And the other issue, of course, was the redevelopment or county's participation in the landmark Midland buildings downtown Cleveland as well.
Sure. So in the redraft of the agreement, we just clarified that as part of this package, the county has not committed specific dollars to the redevelopment of that building. What we conveyed to the company orally and was inaccurately reflected in the agreement was that once that building is disposed, they would be eligible for consideration of our downtown program that is relevant to that asset. So things that you'll be familiar with are the Beacon and other projects like that that are downtown. So we were just communicating that we're open to discussion, and if the buildings parameters and development parameters at that time fit our program, we would entertain a proposal from the company or the next developer. But that, again, is consistent with our downtown revitalization strategy.
Okay, and lastly, this may or may not be for you, but when this parking lot is taken away, we are already facing quite a crunch in parking downtown Cleveland, and maybe this is somebody else at a different time, but Joe, but I think we need to address this, together with the city of Cleveland, because when we keep losing park, I know we need to. I know this is way more important, but I guess it's a different discussion. I'd like that to be on the table. How we're going to be able to accommodate all of the new influx of business and residents to Cleveland. Has that been discussed at all, or is
What I will say is at one point during the discussions, and I won't speak for the city, there was consideration of building a parking asset to support this. So whether that's still in their package, we'll know when that's introduced. But parking is certainly top of mind.
Thank you.
Ms. Brown, I think was next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious, Mr. Carter, is there any anticipation of future legislation around this project coming? Any additional?
Possibly, in the reference of our agreement, we talk about the company's request for conduit financing. So I'm told that may require additional legislation.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't have any more to share with you at this point on that matter, just because the company still, as you heard, is still thinking through their financing strategy and what they may or may not need.
And we're clear there is a commitment to work with Warrensville to make sure that while the property is still occupied, we know that that community has suffered from the North Randall project for over a decade sitting vacant, that we will make sure that Warrensville gets its attention that it deserves relative to that property.
Yes, we are already engaged in those discussions, Councilwoman Brown. I was out there Friday with Mr. Kaler to visit with Mayor Sellers to learn more about the property, and both the assets that's being vacated is significant and we think has market potential. So yes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman. I think Ms. Baker was next.
Exciting project. Congratulations on your work and everyone's work. Did I hear you say there was a parking garage specifically for Sherwin-Williams to have its employees park?
What I said, Councilwoman Baker, is that at one point during the negotiations, there was discussions of a parking garage being a part of the package, but then we were not privy to the discussions with the city, so I'm not sure where that landed or how that's being accommodated at this point. So I can't offer any more than that, but I just wanted to really indicate that parking was a feature of these negotiations and discussion, interest by the company as well as the broader benefit to downtown.
Right. Not only for the broader benefit, but for the employees that are going to be needing and working at Sherwin-Williams is going to need a place to park. The second question I had is the 3,500 employees that are being retained. Is that the number of employees that were in Warrensville Heights? Was it a larger number or smaller number? Or is that 3,500 was the number that they are coming
because this
with?
is so company specific, I'd ask the company, someone from the company to address that.
Ms. Young, if you can take. As you probably will pick up, the conversation is going to flow back and forth between the finance side and the operations side. So why don't you might as well just stay up there from here on out.
This is Julie Young.
Thank you.
With Sherwin. Right, currently there are approximately 400 employees at the Warrensville Heights facility. And the 3,500 represents the combined of the two new facilities. How many employees will be in the two combined?
May I ask, will the 400 be here downtown and the other 3,100 be in the Brecksville?
Of the 400, currently approximately 70% are R&D, so they would be moving to Brecksville, and 30% would be other roles, which would be going to the headquarters.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Tillman, I think you were next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, to Mr. Carter, so I see $7 million is coming out of the general fund reserves. As you're aware, we have a self-imposed requirement as to keeping a certain percentage in our reserves. Do you see this in any way being a strain on the reserves if we go to take $7 million out? I think leave maybe something like $17 million left.
Yeah, Councilman, I'm not the finance guy for the county, so I wouldn't be qualified, but I think that there's general agreement that that amount is comfortable for that amount of money to be taken from that source.
Okay. Did you talk with the finance people?
Yes, I did brief the
I know
OBM director.
They change monthly, I understand. Okay. Having said that, I mean, this is certainly one of those watershed moments where we have an opportunity to impact our region for years to come. So overall, I think this is a very good thing for the county and for the region. I'm sure the city of Brecksville will be very cooperative in trying to come to terms to make this project work. And I would say to Mayor Sellers, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, as they say, and you've been up here a couple times advocating on behalf of Warrensville Heights, and anytime a community loses something as substantial as this, there's always a definite impact, but I can tell you that we will do our best to try to work with you and the folks over there to ease the burden as we move forward. So, thank you.
Any others? Mr. Miller?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to just congratulate everybody for all the hard work and everything that has been done to bring this forward. It's very significant for Cleveland. But I would also like to re-express my concern about the social justice issues that have been raised. There is a stark contrast between the people who came in to present this project and the people who came in to express their concerns. And we truly want this project to be beneficial for everybody and unite us all. Since the council president raised this issue on his list, I'm just going to leave it at that for now, but just say that I remain concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President, did you, any follow-ons to any of those questions? I'm sorry, Ms. Baker?
I have one question.
Yes, sure.
The question that was asked by Councilman Tuma, I think we should know exactly what amount was taken out of the Economic Development Fund, what is the general fund reserve balance, and even the Community Development Fund. We should know what those balances look like after this this investment. Just for due diligence, if anything, we should know what we have left.
I will get that information to you. I can tell you, out of my fund, it doesn't exhaust, so we have some liquidity to address future needs.
Well, just to follow up on those 2 points, two of those funds are directly related to the Casino Revenue Fund. Casino revenue monies, both those that the executive has responsibility for, and those funds that you are talking about, and those that come from county council are both directly related to casino revenue. The other is the general fund. And do you happen to know what the timing is of the request? I mean, we sit here today in February of 2020, but that we were just told that this project is not going to be completed till 2023. So I assume that some of these funds are not even going to be requested for probably at least a year or a year plus. We're just lining up the fund documents in place. So at what year's budget they come out of and when they come out, that I'm sure is something you can actually sit down with the folks in finance and get that forecasted. Because my assumption is we aren't even, we heard, I think, that we're not even looking at a groundbreaking until 2021. So a little more than a year from now is when the first dollars are going to be used for the groundbreaking in that respect. So if you can probably identify that, you might find that it falls into multiple year budgets, of which if you divide $7 million over 1, 2, 3 year worth of budget, it's not a very large number in relative terms. I guess I never should say $1 million is not a relatively large number.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Only that the money that's to come out of the general fund reserve, I mean, we understand, at least what we do know, is that we have the extremely healthy reserve, and that's a good thing. But if it was ever something that this reserve could, the parts of this reserve could go to that would benefit this community for generations, this is the project. So I think we're just happy that we are in a position that we are in to be able to help others, as well as the city of Cleveland and Brecksville and the state of Ohio, keep this company here and everything that means to the community.
And on that same point, that when my colleagues know that the casino revenue, when it came over to us in the $7 to $8 million per year, I was a big proponent that we should be doing it around transformational issues and to convert two vacant parking lots that have been sitting there for 30 years and bring these kind of job numbers to the city and county. I don't know that we have, in my 10 years, a presentation that's more transformational than the one we're talking about here in regards to that. I'm not necessarily queuing up how I'm going to vote, but I hope it is my clear impression that this is very transformational. As far as Warrensville, do we know when that property will be vacated in the sequence?
Again, I would defer to the company, but generally, as we've explored this with the company, they are committed, as you heard Mrs. Young say, to working with Warrensville. They've also indicated that we have probably a minimum of 3-year runway to begin to figure out the best disposition strategy. As Mayor Sellers said, he doesn't want to wait till 3 years. He wants to start that process now to begin to position the property for redevelopment and for a future occupier. So, Ms. Young, does that sound right, the 3-year horizon? 2023, so.
Okay, I understand the requirements and the needs for the mayor to be focusing on this way before that, but you still can't move a new company in there till the old one leaves, and so the sequencing is always a balancing act. Having been around that, and Mr. Kaler, I've heard him speak many times about the need for large tracts of land to entice other companies from outside this region to come in, and so this would be probably one of the largest tracts of land, I believe, in the area. That would put us in a position to not only take care of the Sherwin-Williams growth needs, but then to be in a place to hopefully find a new candidate for, I don't believe all 80 acres is probably as buildable as the Brecksville because of the elevational changes and stuff like that. But
yeah, so Bill Kaler again. Thank you, Chairman Sean, for that. We did have the opportunity to meet with Mayor Sellers last week, and we learned a number of things about that property that we didn't know, and to the positive, in the sense of its potential marketability and our opportunity to work with him, his team, other folks here in the county, to see what we can do on a proactive basis during this time, this transition period, to make sure that we have some different things, think about some different things we can do. And we do think that there's some opportunity there that we can take advantage of. That's good for not just Warrensville Heights, but also for our broader community at large.
yeah, a tract of land that would be 40 or 50 acres would be something very attractive, I believe, to bring in businesses. I know all 80 acres is not buildable for expansion.
There's no question that we have a shortage of properties that are 30 acres and higher. And some of the most competitive opportunities we find to attract businesses here or do large-scale expansions require that. So this fits very well with the need that we see, and we hope to take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
just to add to that discussion about Warrensville Heights, I had requested and I know Mayor Sellers sits on the board of the land bank, and I had requested some assistance from the land bank to look at the property as well, and they've begun to assess it as well. So they have a lot of expertise in these areas, as you know, and so I want to make sure everybody everybody gets together here, and I just want you to know that that's we're not waiting, we're moving forward as well with resources and tools that we have to try to make sure that we keep this thing going and get where we need to get on time.
Right. So the only thing I'd add, Mr. Council President, Mr. Chairman, is that we are already in the process. We're going to be meeting with the company and the city within the week to really, again, start this conversation, learn some more about what we don't know about the site regarding any potential limitations to developing. And so the purpose of the meeting Friday was really to get Bill and his team up to speed on the site, myself even, quite frankly. So I had no idea there was that much acreage behind that building. And so it's top of mind for my team and I. I've got to brief the exec and his team on what we saw and learned on Friday. And I'm confident, as I share with Councilwoman Brown, that this will be one of the most compelling sites in the, they have one of several compelling sites in Warrensville that we can build on.
Thank you. Questions regards to that? Anybody? Ms. Brown?
Just final comments from
Sure.
the Warrensville perspective. I do want to thank everyone. I'm excited about the opportunity, but I want to acknowledge the work that has already been put in, and just want to make sure that we keep that going and moving forward. So thank you very much. Thank you, Council President, for the initiative that you made as it relates to the land bank, and a meeting with the mayor, both you and Team NEO on Friday. So just need to make sure that we don't lose sight of that, because it is a tremendous economic driver for the city which I reside and represent. So thank you very much for the attention.
Well, and as somebody who cares about economic development, this comes full circle when we had Dave Gilbert talking about Destination Cleveland. When we bring thousands of people to this county for activities, we all have to be ambassadors for Warrensville, for every place here. And I know my colleague down here is very much big on economic development as I am. We all need to be talking about it and telling why this is the best location in the nation to be put in your building. And I know it's one of our older phrases, but I'm one of the older people in the county, so I'll take liberty with that. So with
No
that,
one's fighting you for that recognition,
yeah, because I really believe that that's part of our obligations, all of us, to talk up the county and what it's doing. I know that this started out with Council President asking about the sequencing of the other announcements. So we do know that Brecksville is being announced tonight. We do know that the city of Cleveland will be announced next week, and the only one that's going to be held sometime as it works out the details is the state of Ohio, which we don't have that information. Are there other questions in regards to the presentations by Ms. Young or Mr. Carter? Hearing none. We have the liberty of either moving this out, just so everybody knows where votes go. They do not get passed here. They only get moved out of committee, and from there they go to the full council. From the full council, then it would go and have a second reading and a third reading. Council President controls that agenda going forward. So if the answers are not presented on those three other activities, those might never make, those might not make the agenda at the very next opportunity. So with that, I would entertain an opportunity to vote this out of committee if people wish to, and it can be held by Council President, and happy to have that dialogue, or we can keep it here as we hear pending, but that can still be pending in the full council.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to move it out of committee, but I want to make sure that staff gets back to us on the issues of concern, the schedules, as well as the social issues that both the President and Mr. Miller mentioned. But I think that there's enough momentum for this to move on to full council review.
And the good news from that standpoint, I'll second that so we can have our discussion. The good news is that the council president can then control that timing as far as the agenda as to whether would you have a second or third reading in 1 week, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it happens to be. But the one thing, and I will speak on behalf of your moving in my second, is that this can at least help start that movement in the positive direction for the other bodies that are going to be reading at Brecksville tonight. They're going to be reading in the city of Cleveland, and we can actually get the state of Ohio to, and I realize their package is probably one of the reasons why is because it is probably the largest of all the packages that's going to be presented out there. And so as a
Chairman,
yes.
The detail we get back, when will we get it? and it needs to have some information about.
Chairman,
Yes.
to the council.
We're now in discussion stage as far as on the item.
I'm not on,
Moved
I don't literally sit on this committee.
I will
but,
always
so I
recognize the president,
respect
yeah.
what the committee wants to do, at this time. What I want to indicate is that we are working, I just want to make sure, as you know how hardworking and thorough our staff is. But let's be clear here that, our staff is not, our staff can only give us information as we get it. So it's understood that it's not it's while they work hard, and you all know that it's not the staff's burden, okay, to get these answers for us. It's our burden, all of our burden, to get these answers for us from the other entities that are involved. And so I just want to say that we're working with the staff. We will get any answer to any question that is available to us. But it's our own responsibility as well as the staff's, to work through this system. So if there is a need, I agree with the chairman's with the motion that the chairman has made, because I think it is important to send a signal to everybody out there that we're moving forward, and we also want answers from everybody else that are supposed to be our partners. But I don't want anybody on this committee to see that as fast forwarding the process,
for ballpark.
or to hold. I won't say their names. Individuals of our staff, responsible for information we get or do not get as fast as we would like to get it from other entities.
No, Mr. Chairman, I was just asking for a ballpark. I wasn't trying to hammer anybody.
Well, the aspects as far as getting the information, by having it on the council docket at that point in time, it can be held there until all information has been satisfactorily obtained from Brecksville, from the city, and from the state out there in regards to that. So I think it could send a very positive message. Yes, Ms. Simon?
Sure, I was going to move as well to move this out of committee. It can go to the full council, and by the time, hopefully, it goes through the readings, we'll get the information we need from the other entities. But I think we had a full meeting today, and I think it's important that we keep the ball moving.
Okay, well, one of the nice things is that if we have a number of people who wanted to move and second on it, we can all add people's names to the legislation. So when we get to that point, are there any other comments or questions in regards to the motion that's on the floor? It's been moved and seconded. Other questions? Hearing none. Is there, before we vote, would anybody like to have their name put to, I would like to have my name on this, added to the legislation. Ms. Simon?
Yes.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I'd like my name added as well.
Ms. Baker? I assume Council President or not?
I'm not on the committee.
Okay, okay, all right. If you grabbed all those names, and then when we get to full council, I assume that there'll be other names that might be added when we get to full council. Hearing no other further discussion, all in favor of the motion to move this to the full council for a second reading at the discretion and timing of the council president. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the motion carries. This has now been moved out of the Economic Development Committee to the full council. Is there any other matter to come before this committee today? Hearing none, committee is adjourned. Thank you.